Hello! Welcome back to ExcelFluency. Today, we're diving into a deceptively simple but absolutely critical concept in Excel: the real difference between relative, absolute, and mixed references. Mastering this will make your spreadsheets rock solid and flexible, especially when you copy formulas around. Let's jump right in. First, what is a cell reference at all? Every time you write a formula in Excel, say equals C2 times D2, you're telling Excel, take the value in cell C2, multiply by the value in cell D2. Those C2, D2, etc. are cell references. They tell Excel where to grab the data from. But, depending on how you want your formulas to behave when you copy them to other cells, you might want those references to change or stay fixed. That's where relative, absolute, and mixed references come in. By default, Excel uses relative references. That means when you copy or drag a formula, Excel adjusts the references relative to the new position. For example, in column C you have quantities, and in column D you have selling prices. In cell F2, you write equals C2 times D2. That gives the total sales for the first row. Now, if you drag or copy that formula down to C3, it changes automatically to equals C3 times D3. This is exactly what you want. You don't have to retype formulas each time. Relative referencing makes this easy. So relative equals flexible moves with you. Now, suppose there's a constant you don't want to move. For example, a fixed tax rate, a global multiplier, or a constant exchange rate. You want every formula to refer to that same cell, no matter where you copy the formula. That's where absolute references come in. In Excel, you make a reference absolute by adding $signs before the column letter and row number. For example, $K$1. If you write a formula like equals F2 times $K$1 and drag it down, the F2 part becomes F3, F4, etc. But $K$1 remains locked to K1, so you always multiply by the same constant. Some call it a fixed value or anchored cell. It's like telling Excel, always go to the same address no matter where this formula moves. Then there's a clever in-between, mixed references. These combine relative and absolute referencing. You fix either the row or the column, but not both. Why is this useful? Let's say you have a table of sales by product in rows, with units in columns, by month, and unit prices. At the top, row 1, you have discount rates that apply to each month. To find the sales, we will use a formula with mixed references. Here in H4, let's write the formula $B 4 times C4. Now, here in $B4, we have fixed the column only, so that when we copy the formula down and across, Excel will always refer to the unit price in column B. But the row will vary with each product, like B5, B6, and so on. You can write the formula once, then copy across months or down products. The same way to find the sales after discount, let's write the formula in cell M4 as H4 times open parenthesis 1 minus C, $1, close parenthesis. Here we have fixed row 1 so that when we copy the formula down and across, Excel will still refer to the discount rate in row 1, but will pick the relevant months column, like C, D, E, or F. Pretty powerful. So what does the $sign do exactly? A $sign before the column locks the column. A $sign before the row locks the row. You don't need to type the $ manually all the time. Instead, when you edit a formula and have the cursor on a cell reference, just press F4. It cycles through relative, absolute, mixed row, mixed column. Fast and easy. That's a huge time saver when building real-world spreadsheets. If you build something like this from scratch, or even adapt your existing ledger, once you get references right, you'll thank yourself later. Because changing one rate in one cell, say discount rate goes 7.5% to 8% in February, will automatically update everything. That's the magic. Now let's look at some of the common mistakes and how to avoid them. One very common mistake is using a relative reference when you actually intend to refer to a fixed cell. For example, putting the tax rate in K1, but writing the formula as F2 times K1 without fixing the cell K1, then copying the formula down. Excel will try to use K2, K3, etc. for subsequent rows, which will be blank or wrong. Always use an absolute reference, for example, $K, $1, when you mean always use this same cell. Another frequent error is overlocking everything, making all references absolute. For example, overlocking B4, even when you actually want the references to adjust when copied down. That defeats the benefit of copying formulas in the first place. The solution? Before copying formulas, take a moment to decide which values should stay fixed. Constants like tax rate, discount rate, exchange rate. Those should use absolute or mixed references. And which values should vary? Row-specific data like quantity, unit price, sales, etc. Those should remain relative. Okay, let's recap quickly. Relative references adjust when copied. Great for row-by-row or column-by-column repetition. Absolute references always point to the same cell. Ideal for constants like tax, exchange, etc. Mixed references fix either row or column. Powerful for tables where one dimension is fixed, another varies. Here's the pro tip. Use F4 to switch reference types quickly when editing formulas. Once you start thinking in terms of, should this reference move when I copy the formula or stay fixed? Your spreadsheets become more robust, flexible, and easier to maintain. All right, that's a wrap on relative, absolute, and mixed references. If you feel this made sense, try playing around with the sample dataset, link below. Build your own invoice or ledger, and watch how changing one cell ripples through the sheet. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe on ExcelFluency, like this video, and drop a comment. What kind of real-world spreadsheet setup do you want to see next? I'll bring it alive for you. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.